back at it again. And unfortunately, we got to talk about this guy Desantis once again. The sinking ship. Now, I will say, he is a great governor of Florida. I will give him credit. I am not oblivious to what he's done with Florida. He's done a fantastic job. We got to give him credit for that, okay? I will put that out on Front Street. So people, oh, well, you're being biased to DeSantis. I don't believe so. Because I will admit, you know, when he does the right thing, and he has done the right thing with Florida. But outside of that, like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you are new. And let's dive in.
So two things. So DeSantis' team denies Trump's rumor that he'll drop out of the presidential race to run for Senate. This was a week ago on August 28. It's on page 7. I'll read two stories simultaneously. Then, Tom, I'm going to give it to you. So DeSantis spokesperson Brian Griffin strongly refuted Trump's claim on Truth Social that DeSantis could abandon the presidential race for a Senate run, saying on Twitter that it's fake news and suggesting Trump's army of consultants was anxious about DeSantis' debate success. Trump, using the moniker Ron DeSanctimonious for DeSantis propaganda, propagated the notion that rumors are strong in political circles about DeSantis' potential dropping out of the race to vie for Senate Rick Scott's Senate seat, despite DeSantis' recent polling setbacks. An Emerson poll post-debate unveiled a 50% support rate for Trump among GOP voters, a 6% dip from previous poll, whereas DeSantis gained 2 points, railing Trump at 50% to 12. And then DeSantis super PAC's urgent plea to donors. We need $50 million. This is a New York Times story. Ron DeSantis super PAC, Never Back Down, led by strategist Jeff Rowe, urgently seeks $50 million from donors ahead of the second GOP debate on September 27. We need to do this now. We're making a move now. The day after Labor Day, we're launching, and we need your help to stay up and go hard. The rest of the way, we need $50 million. Rowe emphasizes the need for $5 million monthly to sustain Iowa operations, separate from rivals, and beat Donald J. Trump in the next 60 days. We need to beat Trump in the next 60 days, and separate from all his other rivals, we need $5 million. Okay, same thing said twice. Okay, go ahead, Tom. Thoughts?
Now, obviously, that was an older clip, right? That was actually a clip from over a month ago. They were begging for money. And now he's begging for attention. This guy, Ron DeSantis, has just been a sinking ship since day one. And watch what he does. Now, this is a bit of a longer clip, okay? It's a little over 7 minutes, but I'm gonna let it run for a while, and I'm gonna be quiet for the most part. I might interject once or twice here in this video, but I'm just gonna let it run so you guys can see the utter sinking ship that Ron DeSantis is going on MSNBC. Roll the clip.
We've been hearing, Governor, since you started your campaign that you were going to collapse and that things are like falling from the sky, and yet it's Donald Trump who seems to be afraid to go to debates. This is a third debate, I guess, coming up next week in Miami.
First off, that made no sense because Donald Trump has gone up in the polls. He doesn't need to debate, but go ahead.
That he's going to skip. Do you think any candidate that's afraid to debate his opponents in a primary should be president of the United States?
We are not going to win as Republicans, Joe, by adopting the strategy that Biden did, being in the basement during the 2020 campaign. That's effectively what Donald Trump's doing. He is refusing to debate. We've got a lot of issues that this country is facing right now. It requires steady, focused, strong leadership. You got to be able to defend your record, and you got to be able to articulate how you're going to take the country in a better direction. And so my view about why you should debate, I mean, look, I want to fight for people. You know, and Donald Trump is perceived by Republicans as a fighter, but I also want to win for people. And that means winning elections, but also means winning on these policy fights. Donald Trump even now is saying that his famous promise to build the wall and have Mexico pay for it, that he never intended to do it because he said that Mexico, there was no mechanism to do it. You actually could have taxed the remittances, and that's what I would do. But we need a lead to lead forward. You got to have a unifying vision. So he should do it. But I would note this. I mean, you mentioned some of the, ever since I ran, there's always the narratives. Trump is spending massive amounts of money attacking me in Iowa. He's had to go campaign in Iowa. So if he's saying he's so far up he doesn't need to debate, that is belied by their activity on the ground there.
You know, it's interesting. Joe Biden may have spent a lot of time in his basement, but he'd climb out of that basement to debate other Democrats and Republicans.
That's true.
And Trump won't even get out of wherever he's staying. I wonder if it's because a lot of times when he gets out there, he thinks he's running against Barack Obama. I mean, he keeps bringing up Barack Obama. He keeps saying these really bizarre things. I guess last week, and I may have seen this on one of your supporter sites, that he told voters they didn't have to go out and vote. Oh, don't worry about it. You don't have to go out and vote. And then he keeps circling back to he thought he ran against Obama in 16. He thought he beat Obama in 20. He thinks he's running against Obama in 24. Do you think some people around him are afraid for him to go out and debate because he seems to lose his concentration, his train of thought?
Well, and also, you look back, you know, Joe Biden did debate. You're right. That first debate against Biden, Biden beat.
This is a joke, but obviously he is going against Obama. We all know what he means by that. But go ahead.
Trump. I mean, I had a bunch of people. We were excited for it. And we were stunned at the end of that debate about how bad it was. And it did hurt his numbers and I think had an impact on the election. So he needs to prove to Republicans that he's going to be somebody that's going to be able to be up there and get the job done. But you're right. When he's off the teleprompter now, you do see things where he's saying things about not voting, where he's saying things about, you know, there was no way he was going to have Mexico pay for the wall. A lot of these different things. I think you got to go up there. You got to be able to speak from the heart. When we're out there campaigning, I'm not using a teleprompter. I'm just out there speaking and telling people what I believe.
Governor, can I add one more thing? He also, weirdly enough, sometimes starts wandering around and starts blaming pro-life voters for what happened in 2022. He's like going out. I'm trying to figure it out. I've been very clear about it.
Maybe it's all the litigation.
I've been very clear. I think, you know, I think your 6-week ban is extreme. I personally think that. I think it should be around 15, 16 weeks or so. But again, be that as it may, I know where you stand. And you will tell Iowa voters and South Carolina voters where you stand. Donald Trump goes out and sometimes, weirdly enough, he starts attacking pro-life voters. Like he blamed them for not coming out in 2022. And now he's trying to be everything to everyone, saying, oh, I've got a plan. Everybody's going to love me. And yet he just sort of wanders off instead of actually explaining what he's going to do on an issue that's probably one of the most important issues to Iowa Republicans.
Well, and clearly it's a stark difference from his speech at the March for Life when he was president. I mean, that was not what he was saying then. He said that he was one of us in terms of being a pro-life president. Now he's saying protections when there is a detectable heartbeat for an unborn child is somehow a terrible thing. That is not what Iowa Republicans believe. I think more and more are going to be familiar with those comments over the next couple months.
No, we're very familiar with all of Trump's comments. We see them all the time. They're always posted everywhere, so nobody's oblivious to Trump's comments. Trump is playing chess, not checkers, like you, Ron DeSantis, and that's why you lose. Trump knows there's certain things that he has to dance around and prance around and try to appease certain people. The objective is to win. If you don't win, nothing else matters. You can scream to the high heavens, oh, abortion is bad. But if you don't win, that means nothing. It means nothing. These people are just so... I don't get it. I really don't get it. Oh, no, you have to come out here and scream abortion is bad. Okay, abortion is bad. What's it mean if you don't win? You can't form any legislation to back up your words. So at the end of the day, your words are just words. You have to win. You gotta win. Bro, this is basic. I ain't even been in politics for very long, and I know this. It doesn't matter what you say. Can you pass the laws? And in order to get that done, you have to be in a position to get it done. Am I tweaking? Or do y'all understand where I'm coming from? Am I crazy? Y'all let me know. Don't let me jump. Don't let me go off the deep end now, okay? Don't let me go off the deep end. Reel me in if I'm going a little too far. But y'all let me know. Please talk to me in the comment section. I gotta know. Because this is just common sense to me. But time and time again, I just feel like people just aren't getting it. But maybe I'm the lunatic. I mean, that could be possible. Okay, y'all let me know in the comment section, please. But let's jump back into this video. This is just.
But it is a flip on where he had been previously. And I think it raises the issue of, you go back to 2015, 2016, the Trump of that time. He was clicking as a candidate. I mean, he had energy. He was out there riffing. He was controversial, but in a way that was edgy. And I think people said, you know what, this political system needs to be shaken up. This is a different Donald Trump in 2023. Yeah. I don't think he's got the same energy. I don't think he's got the same pizzazz. 2015 and 16 was about America first. I think this campaign is more about Trump first, and it's more about his issues. And I think we got to focus on the American people's issues.
Governor, good morning. Thanks for being on with us. When you entered the race back in May, there were a lot of hopes put into you by Republicans who were looking to go somewhere else than Donald Trump. You were coming off a 19-point, almost 20-point win in a big, diverse state like Florida. So clearly you know how to win there and in big states. So what is your assessment now as we look at real clear averages that have you down 46 points to Donald Trump? You've been much closer at the beginning. What's your assessment of the way this campaign has gone over the last 6 months?
Well, look, Willie, when we got into the race, we were bracing for these indictments. I think it's helped him. I think it sucked out the oxygen, and we knew it was going to be a brutal summer. I was not somebody that thought nationally we were going to see major movement in those national polls. It's a state-by-state process. So we've worked really hard to lay the groundwork in all the early states. You know, that's not necessarily something that shows up in a poll, but I think if you look at what we've done, we've built a foundation. Now we're in a position where we're in the home stretch. Most people still haven't made up their mind in Iowa and New Hampshire. I was with Governor Sununu last week. He thinks the majority of Republican primary voters in New Hampshire aren't going to decide till January. So the key is really creating that foundation. And I think we've shown in a lot of the numbers that come out, and you can take it all with a grain of salt, but we have the highest percentage of people, say in Iowa, who are actively considering voting for me, and I have the highest favorability. So that gives you the base of voters to draw from. You just got to go in and make the sale, and that's what we're going to do.
Oh, man. This guy, Ron, man, he's quite the character. Quite the character. He said that he thinks he has a shot at winning. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Goodness gracious. Wow. I'm sorry I had to subject you guys to that, but I just really wanted you guys to see the desperation. This guy is really on MSNBC crying. I mean, just look at this guy.
And you did say, Governor, at that August debate when the question was put to the entire panel, if Donald Trump is convicted, will you still, and he is the nominee, would you still support him? And you raised your hand. You're a lawyer. You've served in the Navy. You were well trained at the greatest schools. Do you really believe that a man who's convicted of, say, attempting to overturn the 2020 election or taking nuclear secrets back to his beach club, do you actually still, as we sit here today, believe that person should be president?
So I signed a pledge, Willie, and that pledge is what it is. Now, do I think somebody under those circumstances could get elected president? The answer is no. That will not happen. I think that Republican voters will understand that as we get closer to voting. But it would be fatal in a general election. And I don't think the party should nominate in that situation. However, I signed the pledge. I'm a Republican. I don't think it's going to come to that, and I think we'll get the job done like we need to. But the reality is I signed it, and that's what I did.
So you stand by that this morning?
Yeah, when I signed the pledge, I knew you never know what's going to happen. It's a crazy process. People make different decisions, and I think my point of view on it was, I'm participating in this process. I've got the plan to win. We're going to win. At the same time, it's like you can't just take your ball and go home. You can't, on the one side of your mouth, say the country's in decline, Biden's failing, and on the other hand, say, I'm just going to pout if things don't go my way. So that was kind of my rationale for doing it.
So basically insinuating if Trump gets convicted on any of these things that he shouldn't be allowed to run, which, I mean, if you look at some of these places where they're pulling these juries from, I mean, they're basically all Democrat voters. So, you could argue that there's some bias there, right? So in my humble opinion, he will be convicted on a couple of things, right? There's going to be something. They've thrown so many things out there. There's something that's going to stick, right? And then he's going to take it to the Supreme Court. And of course, we know how the Supreme Court's going to rule. They're going to overturn it and blah, blah, blah. We already know the whole deal. We know how that's going to play out because it's all BS. Supreme Court's just sitting back and waiting, okay? I feel like the Supreme Court can't really jump the gun because they don't want to, how should I say this? They don't want to create too much chaos too early, right? I think the Supreme Court is gonna wait until as late as possible to finally make a ruling on this, which is gonna be after, all of these cases get resolved and Trump takes it to them. Now, I do think they're going to overturn things, but it's going to be much later down the line, right before Trump takes office again, or right before next election, I should say. That stuff will be overturned. But that's just my humble opinion on it. But you can see, like, all of these different Republican candidates, I mean, they're nowhere close. They're nowhere close to Trump. So it's obvious what's happening here. They all think or are hoping that for whatever reason, Trump is taken out. That's why they're still there. Because it just makes no sense otherwise. It makes zero sense. You're down by over 40 points. And in some polls, over 50 points. In some polls, Ron DeSantis isn't even in double digits. And Trump is like 50, 60. Okay? So when you're down by that much and you're still staying in the race, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what's happening. Like, I still consider myself new to politics and I can see what's happening. They are hoping and praying that Trump is taken out, which lets me know exactly who these people are. It tells me everything. It tells me that these aren't the right people. Even if Trump is gone, right? I'm not voting for any of them. I'm just saying. Now, yeah, some people could say, well, that's a wasted vote, Rich. Okay, so be it. If it's going to burn, let it burn, because it's going to burn with them too. They aren't any better than these Democrats. They might be marginally better than some of these Democrats. Because the right thing to do, in my humble opinion, would be to drop out and say, no, I'm putting everything behind Trump. I see what's happening in this country. I see the alleged witch hunt, gotta say that. I see the alleged witch hunt that's happening against Trump. So I am putting all of my time and my resources behind Trump. The people of this country, the Republican voters of this country have spoken. They are overwhelmingly supporting this man. And I see what's happening. And it needs to end. So I'm getting behind Trump. That's what I think they should have done. Any person that did that, if Trump was taken off the ticket for whatever reason, that's the person that I would actually vote for. But unfortunately, none of them have really done it. None of them. I mean, Vivek slightly leaned in that direction for a while, but even Vivek is questionable now, right? So, y'all let me know how y'all feeling about all of this. I definitely think DeSantis is a sinking ship. I would never support DeSantis ever. And I used to be, somewhat a supporter of DeSantis. You guys can go back and look at the videos. It's all been documented. So this isn't coming from someone who's always had this thing against DeSantis. It's all been documented, right? You can go look at the videos. Now, I can't tell you exactly when. It was probably last December time period, right? Last November-ish area. But I did also say in those videos, there was something about DeSantis that I could not pinpoint, but there was something off about him. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, right? I remember saying this in videos. You can go back and watch them. They're still up. I didn't take them down. I don't even know exactly which videos they are, to be honest with you. But I said multiple times, there's something about DeSantis. I can't pinpoint it. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but there's something off about this guy. It's just not sitting right with me. I don't know what it is. Like, there's not like this one statement that I can point to, but just something, and lo and behold, here you go. Here you go. It's time and time again he has proven that this isn't the right guy, in my humble opinion. Now, has he been great for Florida? Absolutely. But then he turned his back on Florida, and he turned his back on Trump. That I just no. Not my type of guy, you know. Not my type of guy that I would put my support behind personally. But hey, I'm sure not all of you agree with me, and let me know your thoughts and your opinions, why you disagree or why you agree. Talk to me. It's okay that we disagree, right? We're not like Democrats. We don't all have the same thought process, and that's a beautiful thing. That's fine. But tell me why. Let me know. Peace and love, family. I'm out.